Rangers unleash the power. Hello and welcome to a Smurd P video, and today we are looking at Mighty Morphin Power Rangers issue 34, Beyond the Grid. And we have what looks like some sort of Zord on the front. I feel very excited about that. I hope it's actually a Megazord. Inside we have the usual very nice kind of introduction, Beyond the Grid, the writers, the letterers, the colorers, the illustrators. So let's get on to the story. So last time we saw, the Power Rangers were being attacked by an armada. They seem to have morphed, however there is no morphing grid, which is still the interesting factor in the story. Okay, so Grace is preparing to wake up an old friend, and Corone is at the front with Tirona. I'm struggling to say his name. But when they look for the signature issues, it clearly is that maybe the Solarix is a piece of the morphing grid itself, which is quite interesting in itself, allowing the Rangers to morph through that. Okay, so the Solarix being a bit of the morphing grid is like having a gravity coming out of your hand. It's that crazy, etc. So pretty much game plans are going. You got the Creator having a, I want the Solarix. Kim's ready to let hell rain loose. Meanwhile, Tonya decides a peaceful route might be the way forward. However, Kim says you need to run if it comes to it, which is quite interesting. She clearly seems to be forming perhaps the leader of the group, I guess is the word I'm looking for, which is cool. And then Tanya tries to, talk him down, etc. And meanwhile, he just says, my shoulders have faith in me, little Ranger, that I'm the only one that can save them. Kimberly explains that the Rangers were always meant to be a team and not on their own, and they're always meant to have some mentor to guide them in the use of their powers. And she talks about how she worked with Vince the Five, etc., and how he was obsessed with the grid and how it generated energies. And then she demonstrates that she can make little bunnies and foxes, etc. So the Rangers decide that they are going to pull some Zords. It's pretty awesome. So let's see what they've got. Look at that. That's pretty cool. So we see some pretty impressive Zords come through from the Rangers, which is pretty cool. It's pretty much all their Zords, as you can see. And pretty much they tell the Solarix Ranger, the Solar Ranger to run basically with the Solarix. And we start getting this bit, which amused me. So I think this is Magna Defender thinking about, I don't know, he's angry, he's bitter, he's alone, and that Tonya's not going to love a brute like him. Or is it something else? Oh wait, I get it. Somebody's whispering in all the Rangers' ears some of their deepest fears. So Tonya questions the Praetor that, you're going to kill your men. And he just literally agrees with her. Meanwhile, Magna Defender, worried about Tanya, comes to her rescue, but his Zord starts pretty much failing during that and pretty much disappears. But the Solar Ranger comes in for the rescue, which is cool. And Tanya clearly has feelings for Mike, which is pretty awesome, because in terms of character development in Zeo, she had development, but this is something else. Seeing her fall for somebody, excel, etc., and build new relationships, that's pretty cool. Okay, so the Rangers are starting to get a kind of feel for what's going on here, and the Prelator says that to the Solar Ranger, you should have ran, etc. Meanwhile, Kim tells Heckle, shut it out, concentrate on what you should be concentrating on. Now, I really do like these two and their little relationship, because they're on the side. They've done things in their worlds that no other Ranger has done, and they're trying to pick up their pieces. Meanwhile, Cam says, you still haven't laughed at one of my jokes, which is pretty cool. Okay, so pretty much they're coming out of the fog of it as well. However, Andros is clearly taking a little bit longer to get out of it. But they're telling him, you know, all of us, we're still fighting, etc. We're still here. Next up on the list is Kimberly. And the Predator, you know, she's basically talking back saying, you know, she would never find the true power with the Solaris because she was alone, and she's not alone anymore. And she's saying, I'm not alone anymore. And then pretty much her sword fails as the Predator has his last laugh, and pretty much the Ranger Slayer says she tried, she's sorry. However, the solo Ranger comes in, and then Grace pretty much says, we're always gonna fight you. You can count on it till we're to the bone. And this massive sword comes out, and we knew she was building swords, etc. in the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers series, so it's pretty cool. He calls his soldiers cowards, etc. as they run off, and he's saying he doesn't need to destroy them because they're going to destroy themselves. At the end of the day, this new whole team from different timelines, different dimensions, etc., it will all fall apart. Okay, so they're happy to be back in, and Sterling is introduced to the first Solar Ranger, Elarian. Yeah, we're just going to say that. It's probably not that. That's how I say it in my head. And she's welcome to Prometheus. Okay, so pretty much this is about the Morphin grid enduring and how it's found its way through reality through a single shard to where the Lost Rangers are. Pretty cool. So they can access their powers, and hope is kind of restored. You know, there's still stuff that needs to be answered about the Prelator, where the Solaris came from. But they found each other at the end of the day. In a dying universe. As there is something stronger than the grid. The Rangers of the Void. It's pretty cool. And maybe they will find their way home at the end of the day. Lost Galaxy still needs to happen, right? To be continued. So I'm not sure if there's another chapter to this story, but it certainly feels like they've come to the end of this first sort of chapter, etc. And then at the end you got the Red Centurion and Ninja, which I never read, but I should do. It's pretty cool. So for me, I thought it was a pretty cool issue. There was a lot of happening in there as well, and the Rangers are still finding their feet, and they've had their first skirmish against an enemy who can clearly manipulate them, I think, which is quite interesting. And he has a whole army, but they managed to push back, and I think this is just the beginning of a brilliant adventure. So thank you for watching. Follow me on my Facebook page, SmurredP. Like, comment, subscribe, and embrace the geekiness. Goodbye.